What's up, everyone? Christian Duke, the Iron Duke Speaks, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com. Don't forget to make your mark with Iron Mag Labs and use discount code IML15. You'll save 15% of your hard-earned cash. The top story for this week, my friends, Ronnie Coleman, the GOAT, the greatest of all times, 8-time Mr. Olympia, is back in the gym. And the reason that I say that with a little bit of hesitation, I mean, we all saw The King, the Netflix movie, which was fantastic, and we've all heard of the many operations that Ronnie has had. I believe he's up to 11 or 12. It's a miracle that he can walk. It's a miracle that he can train. I just hope that Ronnie shows a little bit of restraint. It's very difficult, though, because Ronnie Coleman is Ronnie Coleman, and he's going to live his life his way. Even in his documentary where he's barely able to move, he says he wouldn't take anything back, which I think in an aspect of realness, in an aspect of really walking the walk and talking the talk, that's cool, man. That's awesome. But Ronnie Coleman's also a human being. You know, he's made of flesh and bones just like the rest of us. And, you know what I mean? I would hate to see him, you know, I would hate to see him in a bad spot. So I'm happy that he's back in the gym. I'm happy that he's training again. It's where he says, or when he says that he wants to look like a bodybuilder again, like a competitive bodybuilder, that's very subjective. Again, I know bodybuilding is a subjective sport. It's apples and oranges, whatever analogy, metaphor you want to use. But I certainly hope he's not planning on competing again. But even looking like a competitive bodybuilder is a little troubling. I just hope that he trains, you know, for enjoyment. But you know, the video that's circulating, he's got his training partner, which looks like he's got, you know, 10 plates on each side. And I just feel like for Ronnie, someone who is, you know, pulling 800, squatting God knows how much, you know, you remember those old videos from back in the day where he was like leg pressing like 2,500 pounds, you know, knees to his chest. It's, you know, I'm sure that, you know, that's all in the past for him because, again, you know, he's broken so many records and he's, you know, set the bar so high, not just for powerlifting, but for competitive bodybuilders. I mean, he was doing a lot of these lifts when he was like basically in peak week or a week off of peak week. I mean, just insane. You know, you're talking caloric manipulation, you're talking, you know, sometimes exhaustion from all the cardio. And there he was doing, you know, powerlifting meat type lifts. So again, I just hope that that part of his lifting is in the past, and I certainly don't wish him to compete again. And I certainly hope that he doesn't listen to social media because, you know, a lot of the people on social media are so irresponsible and so, not jealous, but irresponsible and so selfish that they'll say, yeah, man, yeah, compete. And, you know, you'll start hearing it from the peanut gallery. And, you know, it's just, you know, I just, I'm concerned as all, but, you know, I'm a big fan and I know that he'll do what's right by him. But again, you know, there's always that temptation. And speaking of temptation, the social media world is in a frenzy, guys, at talk of Lee Priest's possible comeback. Guys, I wrote an article for it for Iron Magazine. You know, I don't like writing stuff like that because to me it's a little bit on the clickbait side, it's a little bit on the spam side, it's a little bit on the fluff side. But listen, you go to any message board, and that's probably one of the top topics, is Lee Priest coming back. And yeah, you know, Lee Priest in his heyday was a bona fide giant killer, taking on the likes of Chris Cormier. I still remember in San Francisco beating Chris, who, by the way, was not off, did not spill over, didn't have a stomach virus or any of that. He got his ass kicked, basically, you know what I mean? And that's okay because Lee probably has the best arms in the business then and now. And you're talking about a top 6 Olympian. I mean, this was before the 212, even before the 202. This guy was, you know, hanging in the mix with the big boys, and he was doing real well. So, I mean, could he come back now? Of course. I don't think he would do 212, personally. I think, you know, if he could hang top 6 with the guys he was hanging with in the early 2000s, I mean, I think he could be top 3 today. That's no disrespect to the current guys, but let's be real. Early 2000s, you still had that 90s mentality where guys were coming in huge, vascular, ripped to the bone dry a lot of times. People just don't prep like that anymore. So if Lee could hang top 6 back then, why the hell would he jump in the 212 today? I say just jump in the open and, he'll do real well. Finally, guys, the Brad Castleberry MMA thing with Kenny KO. Guys, listen, I think it's cool and all. It's good for clickbait yet again. But Brad's got a history of accepting these sort of charity fights and then not showing up. So I'll believe it when I see it. That'll do it for this week. This is Christian Duke, the Iron Duke Speaks. Don't forget, use discount code IAMALL15 at IronMagLabs.com. Save 15% off your purchase. Till next week, Christian Duke signing out.